Buffy, you taught yourself to play the piano at the age of 3. That's incredible. You began setting your poems to music at the age of 4. Did you have family members or other communities supporting you through this, or was it all something that just came from within you?
You know, this is something I'd like to talk to Music Cares about too. There were a lot of people called natural musicians, and I was one of those, and so are many, many other musicians, but you hardly ever hear about it. And I played by ear, by heart, and I did see other people around who also played by ear and by heart. So, I don't know, there was just nobody to tell me not to, and I had nothing else to do, and it was the most fun I could have. So I found out actually that I'm dyslexic in music. Only I didn't find that out until I was a grown-up with a son of my own at Berklee College of Music in Boston. And I explained to one of his teachers that I'd always been able to play, and I'd never been able to learn how to read music, although I tried very hard to learn 3 times. And finally he said, maybe you're dyslexic in music, and I never heard about that. And that would be something, and I think it would be very nice to talk to Karis about investigating. Because although we're putting instruments and written notation into schools, I was a kid who flunked music always, because I was dyslexic in music, and I'd go home and I'd play fake Beethoven and fake Mozart and anything I could get my ears around. And one time I was talking to Chet Atkins, who also plays naturally, and someone had asked him, do you read music? And he said, not enough to hurt my playing. So I think maybe it would be a good thing to talk to Juno, to Karis and to the Junos about inspiring and encouraging kids who are dyslexic in music, but they can play anyway. Before there was written music, there was music. So it's something we might be missing.
Right on. I'll make a note of that for Karis.
Thank you.
Having been so outspoken in your own career and in your journey, how do you feel about the level of activism of young artists these days?
I think young artists many young artists do have an activist side to their music, I think, especially in hip hop and rap. But, it's just, I come from an era in the 60s where it was not only tolerated, but it was expected that you would have, kind of a well thought out opinion about the world. And it just doesn't seem to be that way. I mean, I don't know where the great songwriters of the world are right now when it comes to writing great, I don't want to say protest songs, but activist songs. And medicine songs is about activists, empowerment songs, and protest, see? And to me, you have to have both. And, I'm looking to the great writers of the world and wondering, how come nobody's writing another Imagine? There are a lot of songwriters out there. Maybe what they need is encouragement from other people and their corporate parents.
Rudy?
How you doing?
Hey.
First, you look amazing.
Thanks.
And I always say to you, I don't know what you're doing, but I swear you do not age. So, and you always talk about the vegetable garden that you have, that's keeping you going. I want to know how the vegetable garden, I want to know how that's going. But 2, what has been going on with your career in the last couple of years? Because every time I see you, we're at award shows where you're winning this award, that award. Like, you've got this, I don't know, something crazy going on musically with you that you're just pumping out the music and it's really connecting to a lot of people these days.
I think that a lot of credit needs to go to True North Records for Power in the Blood and Medicine Songs. The album before that, Running for the Drum, I think is just as good an album, but it didn't get heard. And so what you really have to understand is it doesn't matter how great a record you make. If it doesn't get heard, nobody's going to even know about it. So I really credit Paquin Entertainment and Eric Alpert with True North, who's a publicist, and Stephen McGrath. I mean, these are people who kind of got this album. They get it. They knew what the album was about. They knew it wasn't just a dance record. Or they knew it was very, very varied and had some points to it. And they understood that, and they presented it to the public in a way that I think people could understand. I mean, it's not that the record wasn't good, but if it doesn't get heard, it really doesn't get a chance. You know, you're probably right about that, but still, what you have to understand in the music business, Indigenous people in Canada, we're such a tiny minority. There's a huge white record industry. There's a huge black record industry. There really is. You know, so it's not as though anyone's trying to keep us out, but we're such a small group that I think we're a little bit different too. We really support each other. I mean, you never hear Indigenous artists putting each other down. I mean, it's competitive, but it's not like elbowing and pushing and shoving and doing things that are unfair. So, you know, more power to all of the Indigenous artists coming up. I mean, especially the ones we haven't even heard from yet. Let's hope that the fact that we have strong nominees, not only in the Indigenous category, but I mean, Tanya was in a different category, Tribe Called Red are in another category, and so let's hope that that inspiration continues to spread, because it really does bore you up. I mean, what you saw in the Gord Downey presentation, I mean, sometimes some of those kids have nothing. And for them to get a musical instrument, you know, or for them to see someone who looks like them being honored, it really does make a difference. So thank you to all the people in the press who, because I mean, you don't see, in the US, you pick up a newspaper, you don't see anything about Indigenous people, almost ever. Maybe a couple of times a year, if somebody happens to be holding a gun, somebody will get some stupid picture, you know. But Canada is different, so, you know, thank you to Canada for at least knowing we're here.